Good day, everyone. My name is Janetta Esnabwa, and today my topic that I'm gonna discuss is all about secularization movement. What is secularization movement all about? Secularization is a process by which the society is slowly transforming from that having close identification with the religious institution to a more separated relationship. This was considered to be the dawn of Philippine nationalism, particularly after the execution of Gomborza. The introduction and the strengthening of the Catholic faith were largely through the efforts of two types of clergy, the regular priest and the secular priest. Clergy means formal leaders within established religions, or in Tagalog, kaparian or mga pari. The regular clergy, whose jurisdiction fell on their prelates, were better prepared for missionary work because of their standards of discipline and asceticism. Their job then was to introduce the faith, convert the natives, and establish religious communities. In the Philippines, five religious orders took on this task. First, the Augustinians, who arrived in 1565, the Discalced Franciscans, who arrived in 1578, the Jesuits, who arrived in 1581, the Dominicans, who arrived in 1587, and the Augustinian Recollects, who arrived in 1606. They were Filipino priests who studied and trained in the seminaries in the Philippines. They were trained specifically to run the parishes and were under the supervision of the bishops. The secular clergy, on the other hand, were priests who lived in the world. They were under the authority of bishops and not members of our religious communities, and ideally the continuation of the work already laid down by the regular clergy. In other words, while it was the task of the regular clergy to introduce the faith and establish religious communities, the management of the parishes themselves was left to the secular priests. The missionary efforts in the Philippines, however, presented a unique case. In other Spanish colonies, well-established parishes witnessed the replacement of regular clergy by secular priests in the management of the religious communities. In the Philippines, the regular clergy remained administrator of the parishes well into the 19th century. That would be all, and thank you for listening.
Good day everyone, I am Justin Imadid. I am here to tackle about Gamborsa. Sino nga ba ang Gamborsa? Gamborsa means Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Hanito Zamora. Ito ang tatlong pari na napakamartir sa bayan. In February 17, 1872, Father Mario Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Hanito Zamora, called Gomborza, all Filipino priest, was executed by the Spanish colonizer on charge of subversion. The charge against Father Gomez and Burgos and Zamora was the allied competency in the uprising of worker at the Cavite Naval Yard. Ang tatlong pari na inakasuhan ng Spanish colonizer dahil daw sa pagsuporta nila sa mga rebelyong Pilipino. Ang tatlong pari ay inisecute ng mga Spanish authorized at pinatay sila. The death of Gamborza awakened strong feelings of anger and resentment among the Filipinos. They questioned Spanish authorized and demand reforms. The martyrdom of the three priests' appearance helped to inspire the organizations of the propaganda movement, which aimed to seek reforms and informs Spain of the abuse of its colonial government. Dahil sa pagkamatay ng tatlong pari, napukaw ang mga damdamin ng mga Pilipino upang questionin ang mga Spanish colonizer. At dahil din sa pagkamatay ng tatlong pari, na-inspire ang isang organisasyon na propaganda movement.
Execution of Gomborza. What is the execution of Gomborza? On February 17, 1872, the three martyred priests, Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Apolonio Guargos, and Jacinto Zamora, better known for the acronym Gomborza, were executed by the garrote by the Spaniards in the Bagumbayan in connection with the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. What is the significance of the execution of the Gomborza to the Philippine history? So, the martyrdom of the three priests apparently helped to inspire the organization of the propaganda movement, which aimed to seek reforms and inform Spain of the abuses of its colonial government. The Ilustrados lead the Filipinos' quest to reforms. What is the main reason why Gamborza were executed? On 17th of February 1872, he was one of the priests executed due to the false accusations of treason and sedition, taking a supposed active role in the Cavite Mutiny. He was later on sentenced to death by garrote in a military court at Bagumbayan Field. In February 17, 1872, Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, are also known as the Gamborza, all Filipino priests, was executed by the Spanish colonizers on charges of subversion. The charges against Fathers Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora was their alleged complicity in the uprising of workers at Cavite Naval Yard. The death of Gamborza and the propaganda movement happened in February 17, 1872. Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, all Filipino priests, was executed by the Spanish colonizers on charges of subversion. Nevertheless, they were sentenced to death by garrote. On February 17, 1872, the three priests marched from Fort Santiago to Bagumbayan Field, which is known now as Luneta. It is said that Zamora lost his mind and silently accepted to be garroted. In February 17, 1872, Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, all Filipino priests, was executed by the Spanish colonizers on charges of subversion. The charges against Fathers Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora was alleged and complicity in the uprising of workers at the Cavite Naval Yard. The death of Gamborza awakened strong.
Jose Apolonio Burgos y Garcia, or Jose Burgos, was born on February 9, 1837 in Vegan, Ilocos Sur, Philippines, and he died on February 17, 1872 in Bagumbayan, Manila. He studied at San Juan de Letran College and the University of Santo Tomas, Manila. He was one of the famous priests Gamborza, which is in the person of Father Gomez, he himself Father Burgos, and Father Zamora. He was a Roman Catholic priest who advocated the reform of Spanish rule in the Philippines. He was one of the priests who were executed by the Spanish colonizers through garrote. One of his greatest works that was written before by Father Burgos was his novel La Lobra Negra, or in English translation, The Black She-Wolf. It was noted that during his execution, he told the executioner who was tasked to kill him to comply with his duty and that he has forgiven him for this act. This was after the executioner pleaded for utmost apologies for the dreadful order of killing Burgos. His home remains upright in the Ilocos for 2 decades and now is a pride museum of the region. Also, Burgos is remembered in many places in the country as evidenced by towns named after him. These include Burgos Ilocos Norte, Burgos Ilocos Sur, Burgos Isabela, Burgos La Union, Burgos Pangasinan, Padre Burgos Quezon, Padre Burgos Southern Leyte, and Burgos Surigao del Norte. So the death of him, together with Father Mariano Gomez and Father Jacinto Zamora, awakened strong feelings of anger and resentment among the Filipinos.
So good evening everyone. For tonight, we'll have a glimpse discussion about Father Mariano Gomez's life. On August 2nd, 1799, Father Mariano Gomez, one of the triumvirate priests known in Philippine history as Gamborza, was born in Santa Cruz, Manila. Mariano Gomez de Los Angeles, often known by his birth name. He was a Filipino Catholic priest who was falsely accused of mutiny by the Spanish colonial authorities in the Philippines in the 19th century. Gamborza is an acronym of the surnames of priests Mariano Gomez, Jose Apolonio Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, who were executed on February 17, 1872 at Bagumbayan, Luneta by Spanish colonial authorities on charges of subversion arising from the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. Gomez, then aged 25 and designated head priest of Bacoor, Cavite, fought for the Filipino priests' rights against abuses getting the ire of Spanish friars who eventually ordered his arrest and incarceration. He was thrown in jail along with Father Burgos, Father Zamora, Joaquin Pardo de Tabera, and Maximo Paterno. The priest's subsequent death sparked the Philippine Revolution. Before he was executed, Father Gomez published the newspaper La Verdad, or The Truth. The paper served as the voice of the Filipino propagandists against the Spanish colonizers, and at the age of 72 years old on air in 1872, Father Mariano Gomez rest in peace.
The judgment of court martial was read to the priests in the Fort Santiago. Early the next morning, they were told it would be executed the following day. Zamora lost his mind and never recovered. Zamora went up to the scaffold without a word and delivered his body to the executioner. His mind had already left it.